Now, this is breaking news from the WCCO Live Desk on CBS News Minnesota.
Hi, good morning. I'm Maria Lizignoli. It's 11:30 live in the WCCO newsroom. We have breaking news just into the newsroom in the last 2 hours. Minnesota Democratic Senator Tina Smith announced she will not run for re-election in 2026. In just the last 10 minutes, the Minnesota DFL party released this statement saying, quote, "From City Hall to the halls of Congress, no one has fought harder for Minnesotans and our values than Tina Smith. From reproductive freedom to workers' rights, Tina has been a relentless champion for the DFL principle that we all do better when we all do better. The DFL will work as tirelessly as Tina does to ensure that her successor shares her commitment to Minnesota values." And Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar just released this statement saying, in part, quote, "It's been a privilege to work with Senator Tina Smith. I'm lucky enough to call her not only a colleague, but a true friend. Tina and I have been friends since long before our time together in Senate. Her quiet but effective governing style earned her the title, the Velvet Hammer. While Tina and I will continue to work together over the next 2 years, our friendship and her legacy will last a lifetime," end quote. And our Esme Murphy has followed Senator Smith, her career over the years, joins me now. You just had a little giggle over the iron.
The Velvet Hammer.
The Velvet
I
Hammer.
think that that's a very apt description. I have heard that applied to Senator Tina Smith because she's somebody who for years was actually in the background. She was like the assistant to Mark Dayton. She was the assistant to Mayor Ryback. She was very good at putting everybody else first. So she's much quieter than many politicians who are all like, "Hey, look at me," you know.
More like an iron hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
Velvet, smooth.
Yes.
So this announcement is seemingly unexpected.
You know, to me, it is a surprise. I mean, she is 66 years old. People will remember she came to the Senate in a very unusual way. She came after Senator Al Franken resigned in December of 2017. So she was appointed by then Governor Dayton. She was the lieutenant governor. Then she ran on her own in 2020. It was expected to be a close race. It really wasn't that close. She won decisively. And I think for her, it was a very big deal. So I think it's interesting to see, you know, what happens forward, but I did expect her to run again. She had indicated she was going to run again.
Okay, yes, exactly. Now, Senator Smith was the Minnesota's first state 48th lieutenant governor in 2015. And, you know, she, like you said, replaced Al Franken over sexual misconduct allegations.
Right.
So what are some of the biggest highlights in her tenure as senator?
Well, I think she's pushed for progressive causes. She has definitely stood out for, in terms of, you know, statements against Donald Trump. She has really been a voice on the left, really, and she's been really to the left of Amy Klobuchar. I mean, she really seems to have come into her own in the past 2 years, and that's why this is a surprise. I know questioning RFK Jr., who was just approved as the Health and Human Services Secretary this morning. In questioning him, she made headlines when she asked him about his past comments on antidepressants, because RFK Jr. had suggested in the past that antidepressants were linked to school shootings, which of course there's no evidence of that. But Senator Smith went on quite pointedly saying that after the birth of her sons, she did take antidepressants because, like many women, she needed it for postpartum depression. So she's been very open about things like that, and I think she's really created her own headlines for the first time in her career.
Okay. Just in the last 4 minutes, we got an email with an alert that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is going to run for the Senate seat. She said it on her Instagram. She said, quote, "I love Minnesota and my intention is to run for United States Senate." How are you?
Well, I would put her in the front lane. I mean, Peggy Flanagan completely qualified. I've been talking to people in the governor's office, and that may be a surprise to them. Governor Tim Walz could also run, but Peggy Flanagan coming out first saying she's going to run is a big deal. She has been a legislator. She has been in obviously lieutenant governor. She is very well regarded in the Democratic Party. She obviously would be, I believe, one of the first Native Americans to ever be elected to the United States Senate. I'm going to have to check my facts there. But she is a formidable candidate. She's enormously popular in the base. I'm not surprised. I would have her at the top of the list anyway. But Wow, and this just shows you this is going to
Yeah.
be an unbelievable race because Republicans are going to come out firing too.
Yeah, exactly. So both the House and the Senate majorities could come to a photo finish. It's an important one for races
Oh my
with
gosh.
governor in 2026.
Absolutely. I mean, the people who are going to be dancing and celebrating the most are probably people in TV sales and radio sales in general, because this is going to be maybe a $40 million race. It's that big a deal. And the last time that Minnesota Senate had an open seat, there was for a U.S. Senate seat, was back in 2008 in the Coleman-Franken race. And you may remember that was razor close. At first, Coleman was declared the winner, then Al Franken was declared the winner. It went on the recount for 6 to 8 months. For a long time, Minnesota had only one senator, Amy Klobuchar. But
wow.
clearly, there's no question, by announcing this early, by announcing right now, you've got a lieutenant governor in Peggy Flanagan who has jumped to the front position on the poll.
She announced it on Instagram. She even said in her post, a formal announcement is coming later this month. She'll have more to say soon, she says. But I mean, yeah, that is a bold statement to get out in front of it. Any other people that you are looking at as front runners?
Well, I think you have to look at Governor Tim Walz.
Yep.
I mean, he said that he's looking at running again in 2026 for a third term. No one has ever served 3 4-year terms as governor, so that's a little out there, but he could run. There are so many other Democrats. A lot of people have pointed for years to Mayor Melvin Carter of St. Paul as somebody who is strong on the bench. They're really former Representative Dean Phillips, who ran for president. That's somebody who I could see tossing his hat in the ring. And I think there are going to be a ton of other people. But Peggy Flanagan on the Democratic side jumps to the forefront. On the Republican side, it's thinner. The bench is thinner. But I think this has vaulted, I think, Lisa Dameth into probably a position where people are going to be pushing her to run for either governor or the U.S. Senate seat. She is really the premier Republican in the state right now.
Because Democrats have been a pretty big stronghold in the Senate, right? So
Right.
how would this throw a wrench?
Well, in terms of Minnesota, no Republican has won a statewide race in Minnesota since 2006. And when you think about it, it really doesn't make any sense because Republicans are really very strong here. I mean, Donald Trump almost won here in 2016. The Senate will be split. I mean, people from all over, this race is going to get a huge amount of attention and a huge amount of ad revenue. And I think that's why Senator Smith dropped out so early, because you literally need
A year
perhaps
and a half.
a year and
More than,
yeah, $20–30 million. Peggy Flanagan, she's a smart one. You're getting a head start right now.